We're coming. We're coming. And we ain't backing down.
It's kind of become a rivalry game because of the quality of the program.
Finish! Finish! To get to where you want to go, you have to go undefeated. You have to beat Alabama.
Big matchup in the SEC, huge playoff implications, and we know now those rankings are fluid. Mr. Paul Feinbaum in the building, the mouth of the South, right now the mouth of New York as well. How are we doing?
I'm doing great. I had to walk outside after the last conversation with Stephen A., take a deep breath, exhale.
Yeah, he needed to exhale,
and then
too.
I did
He
jump in
probably
the East
didn't
River, Stephen A.
Stop it. Whenever you say jump in the East
No,
River.
you didn't, because if you did, you'd
Bad
be
thoughts.
sick. And you look spry and healthy and ready to go. And by
Let's
the way,
do it.
Molly, I didn't need to take a deep breath. I'm fine. I'm just fine.
I know. All right. I want to start with you here, though. So arguably, we know the biggest matchup. And Tua's health has been a concern, that high ankle sprain. What do you expect from him in this big matchup?
I expect him to be in great shape. This is a different injury than a year ago. The fear was last year he had some broken bones, and it took him a long time. It was also his plant foot. This is not. He is doing everything in practice, I'm being told, that he needs to do. I still think there is one big question, Molly, that we cannot answer until 3:30 on Saturday afternoon. What happens if he gets hit? When he goes in that tent and his dad and his mom and his family are in there and they're saying, Tua, you said you would start, you said you would play, you're now hurt. We don't need to blow it all just to win this football game. I'm not saying that will happen, but I think it's entirely possible.
Here's my deal. Let me give LSU the respect it deserves.
Oh, really?
They're undefeated. They're 8-0. They're an elite team. There's no denying it in all seriousness. Joe Burrows is the real deal. We get all of that. I look at their running attack. These boys can run the football. I don't think they're Najee Harris. I don't think they're him. But these brothers can play. When you look at their wideouts, they got a couple of wideouts that's doing some things led by Jefferson. And, of course, Chase. I get all of that, too. But they ain't Judy. They ain't Devontae Smith. They ain't Ruggs. I mean, listen, all I'm saying to you is this. If Tua gets hurt, of course it's a different argument. We understand that. If an injury happens, you're toast. If Joe Burrow goes down, what chance you giving LSU? So we understand that, but we're making our predictions and we're prognosticating based on both teams being healthy and ready to go. And I believe if Tua is healthy and he's ready to go Saturday, Alabama, because it's in Tuscaloosa. Now, if they were down in Baton Rouge or something, that'd be different. But in Tuscaloosa, in Alabama, I'm rolling with the Tide. I think they recognize, Paul. They hear you. They hear a lot of other guys, Pollock and Herb Street and everybody else, the great job that the game day crew does. We see them every Saturday. We get it. I think they see and they know we lose this game. Particularly after the way we looked at the national championship game, even though that doesn't have much to do with now. The bottom line is, this is your shot. You blow this game, you're not going to get to the college football players with other teams and the success that they're having, LSU, Ohio State, obviously Penn State, and others. You're not going to get it. You cannot lose this game. I don't see them losing on their home turf. I think Alabama handles their business.
You know, Max, that's the first time I've agreed with Stephen A. today, because he is right. Alabama cannot lose this game. Why? Because they played a crummy schedule, and after this, they'll play Auburn, and Auburn, by the time they get to them, will have 3 losses, very likely, and if Alabama beats Auburn, they'll have 4 losses, and that's not going to be enough. In the past, Alabama got the benefit of the doubt. Years, only one coach has pulled that off, and that's Nick Saban. And even though this committee, we think their objective, Stephen A. and Max, I think that will be held against them when they meet in that room. I realize I've helped your argument from earlier, but I'm trying to be a good friend here today.
Paul, so it's a must-win for Alabama. But now let's focus on LSU for a second. What are the odds that LSU, you're saying Alabama can't make the playoff if they lose this game.
Unlikely.
Could LSU?
Because they're at home. You can't lose your only important game all year. Now, I think what you're about to say is what happens if LSU loses. LSU's in better shape. LSU has wins. Now, the win over Texas has been devalued. Texas has become garbage this season. I agree.
Yes.
But they have a win over Florida, and they have a win over Auburn. Those are quality wins that will matter, and they'll play Texas A&M later, not going to help them all that much, and they'll play the SEC championship game, presumably against Georgia, and that will help them. So LSU has a path to the playoffs with a loss. Now, by the way, let me back up a second. If LSU loses, they won't be going to the SEC championship game, so they'll lose that important quality win that the committee values more than anything else, a conference championship.
I want to focus on Joe Burrow now against that Alabama defense. What kind of damage do you think he can do?
Well, I think he can do a lot of damage because, Molly, this is not an elite Nick Saban defense, and I think that's one reason why there's some uneasiness. Now, having said all that,
haven't you noticed Stephen A's nervous energy all day today?
Yeah, I mean, I got to pause right here for a second as we talk about Joe Burrow, because Stephen A, we've done this a long time. I don't think I've ever seen you be this agitated. Now, are you agitated because you are confident Alabama's going to win, or you're fearful that your mouth is going to have to pay all these checks that you've been writing to Marcus Spears and Ryan Clark and all these other people?
You know, that is a very, very valid point. If I'm nothing else, Paul Feinbaum, I am honest. The presence of Ryan Clark, along with Marcus Spears on this show every week, and Booger McFarland, who I interview every Monday before Monday Night Football. The combination of those three dudes swarming me with LSU all year long. Listen, I got love for them. I respect them. But damn it, they ain't Alabama. And I believe that Alabama's going to take them out because I'm salivating at the opportunity to shut three of my colleagues up all in one fell swoop. One afternoon, I shut up 3 miles for the rest of the year.
And
that's
Stephen,
a beautiful position for me to be in.
You and I share a secret because last year, all three of them said the exact same thing when Alabama went to Tiger Stadium. And you know what happened? Joe Burrow was the quarterback. Wasn't the same situation, but Alabama won 29-0. I mean, LSU, I don't think LSU scored 3 points the last 2 years against Alabama.
Boy, I hate to get off this
different
top.
now, Max. He's different now, Max, because he's completed about 78% of his passes, just 30 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions. But I'm telling you, they're gonna stay. They're gonna put something on him. We're gonna find out about Joe Burrow.
Listen, it's such a great game. There's a lot to talk about, but the Taggart firing. Paul, how attractive is that FSU job right now, do you think?
I don't think it's attractive at all. And the people in Tallahassee are talking about we're going after Bob Stoops. Well, by the way, I don't think Bob Stoops is that big of a catch anymore. He's past his prime. He left Oklahoma because he was worn out. Remember, he needed a break, and they've done pretty well without Bob Stoops. They've won a couple of Heisman trophies and have been to the playoffs. But assuming it's not Bob Stoops, and I don't really think it's going to be, why would you want to go down there? This is a program that is in a deep decline. Recruits are bailing out, Max, and you have Dan Mullen across the state. You even have Miami, which may finally have a pulse. Not much of one, but a little bit. They certainly look good against FSU. This is not FSU of yesteryear. This is a different program.
Paul, real quick, because we only got time for one more question. How should we be looking at Jimbo Fisher in light of the combination of what he left for Taggart to deal with, which may have had everything to do with what Taggart ultimately did on the job, and what he's doing at Texas A&M right now? First-class institution, all-star facilities all over the place, $75 million contract. I think Kevin Sumlin, I like Jimbo Fisher, but I think Kevin Sumlin did a better job than this.
Well, I mean, listen, he's trying to build a program, and I'm going to give him a benefit of the doubt, or the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
He's played 2 number 1 teams already this year in Alabama and Clemson. He very likely will play a third 2 weeks from now against LSU. That will probably be the 5th loss of the season. I think next year is critical. I'm not blindly defending him. I'm just saying he's trying to regenerate that program. But he faces a very big year. At that price, you can't lose 4 or 5 games a year.
All right, we'll leave it on that note. Always check out Paul on the Paul Feinbaum Show, and of course Saturday all over the SEC network. How excited are you for this one?
I'm fired up, but I'm compared to Stephen A.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're at like a 1
I mean,
compared to him.
I'm in kindergarten, and he's a PhD. Stephen A., please.
You'll be even more fired up Saturday because Paul Feinbaum, I will be tweeting you and reaching out to you Saturday as well. Look at your cell phone. I'll be texting you too.
You know what, Stephen A., you know where I'm going Saturday in this game, so you don't have to hit me up as much as those purple and whatever guys.
I see what colors you have on.
Yeah,
That's right.
Not by accident. Paul, good to see you. Probably by accident. Coming up, the Browns, Falcons, and Bears have not living up to expectations, but which has been the most disappointing this season? The fellas tackle that.
Ain't nobody gonna do